Oh, my Gemini friends, let's talk about what 2026 has in store for you. And I tell you what, Gemini, 2026 is a turning point year for sure. You received a preview of what's coming in 2025, but this is the year where change becomes absolutely undeniable. Freedom, authenticity, and experimentation, they take center stage, and life will move faster as a result. This is not a year to cling to what's familiar. It's not a year to cling to what's old. It's a time and a year to follow your curiosity, to take risks, and to allow your identity to just evolve. So let's go through what 2026 has in store for you, my Gemini friends. So I think in general, right? Let's kind of do like in terms of you, right? Uranus, that's not a word. Uranus finally settles into your sign. Now, it has not been there ever in your lifetime, unless you're very, very old, but it takes 80 years for Uranus to move around the sun, where we take 365 days. So 80 years, it's never, ever been in your sign. And so it dipped its toes in a little bit in 2025 to give you an idea of what is in store. But what Uranus brings is radical shift and change. It completely looks to areas where you're not living your most authentic truth, authentic life. And it says what needs to change in order for this to happen. Now, Uranus will officially settle into Gemini beginning a 7 year cycle of this reinvention for you. Now, remember, Uranus is the planet of disruption, awakening, and of course, authenticity, like I said. So you'll feel a strong urge to break patterns, assumptions, and explore entirely new ways of living and expressing yourself. And if you notice yourself slipping back into those old habits, that's your cue to pivot. And if you don't listen to that, Uranus has a way of dramatically shifting it for you, right? Because it doesn't want you staying in old, outdated systems. Uranus is the liberator. And this is a year where you listen to those cues to pivot. So this year asks you to experiment, even if that means inconsistency or uncertainty. The effects of Uranus, they ripple outward into many, many areas of your life, especially in friendships, traveling, learning, your belief systems, your spiritual beliefs. These things are intensified under that power of Uranus as it aligns with Saturn, Neptune, and Pluto, making these literally once again, once in a lifetime, twice in a lifetime connections. We have a lot of potent things happening this year. And interestingly enough, that Uranus sign is involved in a lot of it. And that's a lot of shakeup and that's a lot of change. The world in general is going through a rebirth, a 250-year cycle of re, re what's the word I want to say? Redoing the foundations under our feet, all the way up from government systems down to our own personal needs. And the old ways just don't work anymore. They're outdated and they are archaic and they are done. And we are ready for something new. And so you are feeling that even more so than any other sign. This push for freedom, this push for change. So momentum really accelerates when Mars goes into Gemini as well too, because Mars brings an infusion of energy and fire. And so that's from June 19th until August 11th. And it energizes that first house of yours, your identity, your personal goals. This is one of the most active periods of the year for you, especially around the 4th of July when Mars and Uranus actually align. So in that time frame, life moves very quickly here, but so do breakthroughs. So listen to what the universe is telling you and you won't miss anything. Just keep following what your heart is telling you. Now, in terms of money and financial growth, the first half of the year remains really financially supportive thanks to Jupiter moving through Cancer, which is in your second house of finances. So that's income, self-worth, all your resources. It's going to be there until June 30th. So This is a once in every 12-year cycle. So use it to expand your income, raise your rates, invest in skills. There could be job opportunities that pop up that offer you way more money. That is definitely good. But the other thing to keep in mind too is that Uranus has left Taurus and it's moved into your sign. And Taurus rules the financial systems. Now it's completely transforming the way that we know money as it is. We're moving into something new. The last time this happened was when we went off the gold standard back at the time of the Great Depression. So, no, we're not going through another Great Depression. We're reinventing how money works in the digital system we have now. So for you, Jupiter going through that second house may give you opportunities to invest in things like crypto or into these new markets where the world is truly changing how the economy works. So that's definitely something. So, uh, another part of it too, right? Because Uranus is helping you to recognize how valuable you really are. And as Jupiter goes through that second house of finances until June 30th in that 12-year cycle, your confidence in your value directly, your self-worth, how much you believe in yourself and your skills, it directly impacts what you attract to yourself financially. So the better that you think of yourself, the more abundant opportunities are going to come through you. So the summer is definitely a time where you'll be thinking differently about finances. Maybe it's budgeting, contracts, long-term plans, like I said, investments, looking at how you've spent your money in the past, how you've invested in the past, how you want to change that up. And, um, one of the things that happens, of course, also, as we have this in Cancer in the summertime, Mercury is also going to be retrograding in that second house as well. So Mercury retrograde, it wants us to slow down and make sure that we're checking everything before we sign any contracts. So avoid rush into any financial decisions during that time. Um, or signing anything. It doesn't mean you can't. Just make sure you look everything over really well. And then as Jupiter exits your money house during this retrograde, reflection becomes key. So if you've gained money financially, this is the moment to decide how to use that money wisely, saving, investing, and paying down debt. That's definitely going to be a huge focus for you. And then once Mercury moves forward out of that retrograde, um, missed opportunities return and clarity improves as well. So that's something to keep an eye out for as well. So now, home and family, a full moon eclipse happens March 13th, and that activates your fourth house of home, family, emotional foundations. Now, this has already been going through a bit of a shift and a change anyway over the past couple of years because the series of Virgo and Pisces eclipses have have definitely been blowing this area up. Now, eclipses in astrology tell us where there's old stagnated energy that needs to be changed in order for the new to come in. And so the past couple of years have really had you going through a lot of changes and ups and downs when it comes to money, home, family dynamics, all of these things, and a lot of realizations. Now, that fourth house, it rules home, family, and your emotional foundations. So this eclipse kind of pulls the past couple of years together, bringing those themes of release and to release them and uh, to help you to let go, especially of old, outdated family belief systems that aren't yours to carry. Especially since you're reinventing who you are, you can't carry old beliefs that weren't yours to begin with. And you feel that very strongly. So you may feel drawn to declutter, reorganize, shift how you relate in family dynamics. So emotions can run high. So about 2 weeks on either side of that eclipse. So avoid making reactive decisions during that window. Uh, Venus is going to be going through there at the same time, and that's so that makes it an ideal time to focus on those relationships, bringing harmony to them and really balancing the scales. So challenges might arise when Venus clashes with Uranus, though, July 14th, and then Mars on July 29th. So revealing where those old, outdated patterns just right. And Mercury, your ruling planet, moves through this sector from August 25th to September 11th. So it really supports those important conversations, or planning that's needed related to the home and the family. And then just another thing to keep in mind too, that's your ruling planet. That's the planet of conscious mind, how we communicate, how we think, how we learn, how we absorb information, and how we, spit that out at others. Your Mercury retrogrades are important because your mind's always active anyway, right? So Mercury retrograde is a time for you to actually slow that mind down and be able to really process everything. And so each of these Mercury retrogrades, interestingly enough, are in water signs this year. And so what that means for you is it's saying in these time frames, and I think it really isn't just the time frames of the retrograde, I think it's in general this year, because Uranus is so unpredictable, you won't be able to plan much for these shifts and changes as they come. You're going to have to trust what your yourself and your intuition tell you. And these Mercury retrogrades and water signs call on us to not use the logical mind, Mercury, but to use what our intuition and our heart are telling us. Water signs equal emotion. So, what are your emotions telling you? I think this is a year where you realize how valuable and what valuable intel your emotions are telling you. Okay, let's move on to relationships. So, love and relationships. So, with so much focus on this personal growth, relationships kind of take on a little bit of a quieter role this year. So, the main relationship activation really happens between November 26th and December 26th when the Sun, Mercury, Venus, all those guys move through your seventh house of partnership in their annual transit. So this is going to be the time for the clarifying period where honest conversations happen. They help you to understand what truly works for you in love, what adjustments need to be made. If you are partnered, this is a time to reconnect through communication. Remember saying what you feel, that's important. If you're single, curiosity about others, it's really helping you to refine what you want. Um, and how others make you feel and how that directly impacts your feelings of self-worth. Now, between November 26th and December 8th, unexpected developments or revelations could arise. So that new moon that happens on December 9th, it really offers some fresh starts that carry into 2027. That's pretty much it. It's not a huge sector in you're the main sector, honestly. Relationships kind of fall in line with you finding who you are and where you're going. So let's move on to joy and creativity and children. Let's look at those areas. So Venus, of course, highlights joy and romance and creativity. And she last visited Libra in well, no, not last, but she's visiting Libra and your fifth house twice this year. So the first time is going to be August 7th to September 10th. And when that happens, that's really supporting pleasure, creativity, romance, quality time with your loved ones, spending time with your kids, nurturing the kid within. This is a beautiful window for enjoyment and for self-expression as well too, especially if you're getting out there and dating. Um, Super important dates if that's the case, if you're getting yourself out there and looking for somebody: August 11th, 12th, 18th, and the 21st. It really encourages experimentation, trying different things, trying something new in love and creativity. And then when Venus returns later, during the retrograde cycle at the end of the year, so that's between October 25th and November 13th, you may be reassessing, because remember, that's retro looking to the past, reassessing what happiness really truly means to you and where you've compromised your happiness for others. And then once Venus leaves that retrograde, it helps you have a lot of clarity, and it gives you that understanding about what it is you need and what it is you need in your relationships to really feel balanced. Now, when it comes to travel, learning, and discovery, they're pretty big themes this year as well too. Like you haven't had enough of that, right? With Jupiter going through, you've been on the move a lot, but this year, from June 30th onward, Jupiter enters into Leo, where it hasn't been for 12 years, and that's beginning a year-long expansion of that third house. A lot of the other stuff has been ninth house related in terms of like actual physical travel, but the third house opposes that. So it carries short travels, so like interstate travels, close to home travels, but it also could be just that house of communication in general. It's magnifying how it works. And so this is your house of learning, writing, on top of communication. And then, of course, that short distance travel, like I said, too. So, this is an excellent cycle if you want to take some courses to advance yourself. Let's say you want to do some teaching, writing, podcasting, any kind of skill building, universe is behind you big time. Curiosity becomes a powerful driver for your growth. So opportunities for travel may be closer to home as opposed to way the hell out everywhere like you have been doing, and that's okay. I think your soul's ready for a break. So local adventures, uh or becoming a tourist in your own city or your own state, boom, I'm on it. A particularly potent moment arrives when Jupiter and Uranus align on July 21st. So that happens once every 12 years, and that's going to be happening in that third house of yours. So that's going to be sparking sudden conversations, sudden inspirations, or learning some important breakthroughs. So keep that in mind, but you got to communicate what you're feeling. That's a huge thing. And another major cycle begins July 27th when that north node, where soul is heading, that's our destiny, enters into Aquarius and your ninth house, activating an 18-month expansion around your worldview, your philosophical beliefs, your belief in yourself. You'll get a preview of what that means during that new moon eclipse on February 17th, when an opportunity to study or teach or explore something meaningful, it might appear something, a really big opportunity. It gives you a preview. So now let's move on to communities, friends, and networks. Your social world undergoes a major deep transformation in 2026. We've got Neptune entering Aries, and that means it's moving into your 11th house on January 27th. And that begins a once in a lifetime cycle, I'm telling you, and it reshapes your friendships, the communities you belong to, and your dreams and aspirations in general. You may feel drawn towards spiritual things, creative things, or just unconventional people. But discernment is essential. Neptune can blur boundaries and it can create disillusionment. So just be careful with who you're following. But fortunately, Saturn is also there and it comes in on February 14th. Saturn stabilizes and it helps you to set limits and really to establish healthy connections. Quality matters more than quantity, and you're learning that with all of your friendships this year. Your ruling planet Mars really invigorates this area from April to May, helping you to really take initiative socially. The most active window, though, is in April 13th to May 5th, setting the tone for future friendships. Now, a full moon eclipse that's going to be happening here. It's on August 28th, I'm sorry. It brings closure to this 2 year cycle of these eclipses that we've had. Remember, I talked about how it has been really, really well, actually, that was the other one I just talked about. I'm sorry, that was the other video. But these Virgo Pisces eclipses that have been happening, they have very much been impacting how our thoughts create our reality. And so they're bringing this closure to a 2 year cycle involving your friendships, helping you to realize what connections work for you and release the ones that no longer align with you. And that's okay. That's absolutely okay, right? Now, in terms of just rest and release and your inner world and your inner life, Let's look at that because you really, really need it. It's been a busy couple of years for you, and rest becomes absolutely essential early in the year. I mean, I think you're just ready for a break. And so until April 26th, Uranus really finishes up its journey through your 12th house of the subconscious mind, of the subconscious self, encouraging that deep rest, reflection, and healing, cellular healing. So, getting out in nature, grounding practices are really restorative for you. There's so much energy that supports this rest, especially as we move from March to April, making this the best period of the year for you to just relax, to take time off, to take time away. Because then, I mean, once that ball gets rolling again in the summer, you're going to be busy, but you have to be careful to protect your energy and establish sustainable boundaries with others, but also establish these rest routines so you're not going through these excessive burnout cycles. Now, if you've been experiencing extreme headaches, it's because you're not balancing enough rest with work. 12th house Pisces rules, and that rules the head in well, not the head, but it gives us headaches when we're disconnected. So that's a huge thing right now. Make sure that your rest routines are sustainable before life speeds up again, because if you don't have that under your belt, you're going to get caught in that cycle of burnout again. And we don't need that, Gemini. You got too much going on. You got too much going on. So now, in general, let's look at this. Now, I'm going to get into birthdays in a second here and talk about how certain planetary influences are going to impact certain birthdays based on where the alignments are. But before we do that, let's talk about uh, your moons. Okay. We know that the third house and the ninth house are the big ones getting the reset this year with the power of the eclipses, right? Communication and your belief systems and yourself and the world around you. Those are the big things getting the rejuvenation this year. But when we want to manifest things, we do it at a new moon. And when we want to release things that no longer work, we do it at a full moon. And when it's in our sign, that's our moon. That's the best one to do it in. So you want to plant your seeds for anything. You're going to be doing that in the Gemini new moon, which is why did I just say July? June 14th. And then the full moon is November 24th for you to release what no longer works. I also find that when we plant our seeds for manifestation, they come to fruition at that 6 month full moon cycle as well too. So you may find that as well for things that you want to see shift and change. So now let's move on to birthdays. Now, if your birthday doesn't show up in here, it doesn't mean this. None of this stuff can happen to you. You might find that all of these things are valid for you. Just follow what your intuition's telling you here. But I'm just telling you how certain planets are lining up. This is how it will impact you. If you want to know how your specific chart is impacted, though, I have a link below where you can book a reading with me, and we can explore your chart and how it's being impacted this year as well. But in general, birthdays. Overall, if your birthday falls between May 21st to May 27th, Uranus is going to be aligning with your sun. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity and an influence that sparks rapid personal change and reinvention. You all are feeling that. You all will be feeling this. So if you're born between May 21st and June 5th, Saturn supports responsibility, maturity, and clear boundaries. So you may be one of those people that really have to set those limits with yourself and with others in order for yourself to grow. And that's absolutely okay, right? No is a sentence, darn it. That's what they say. Now, if your birthday is between May 24th and the 27th, Pluto is really empowering you with a positive connection for transformation, helping you to shed old identities and step fully into your power. You are definitely ready to step into this newest version of yourself. So, those are just some general ones. Now, Gemini 2026 is about becoming more yourself, even if that means letting go of who you used to be. Curiosity is your compass. Flexibility is your strength. So to get a fuller picture, make sure you watch your rising sign and your moon sign in these horoscopes as well. And if you're really starting to want to learn more about astrology and see how it impacts you, I also have a link below for my 2026 workbook. It's pretty cool. It's like an astrology 101 book. It tells you how to understand your birth chart and how these things impact your birth chart. But then each month I go through the new moon cycles, the full moon cycles, the eclipses. It explains it in just plain old English, just like I'm talking to you now, and it helps you to understand and then utilize journal prompts to really take hold of these cycles and see how it impacts you so that way you can move forward with confidence and clarity. So, everybody, thank you so much for watching. My Gemini friends, just keep being true to you, and the universe will keep responding. We'll see you next time.